morning. It only took 7 years for me to get up here. Let me quickly give you some clarity as to why you're wondering why I am up here. You know, truth be told, I'm actually the best preacher. You kind of have to be to talk to you if every Sunday. So I thought it would be nice to give Pastor Mike and Pastor Brian a refresher on how it's done. You know, for those of you who may not know me or see me walk around in usually a dress shirt and sandals, my name is Noel Thompson. I'm the director of student ministries here at Christ Lutheran Church, a job that I love. And I think it's important to know certain things about me as I'm very proud of who I am and where I come from. I spent most of my life in Minnesota, and in 2010 I married into the wonderful Doda family, who have been members here at Christ Lutheran Church for 30 years, and I've been here ever since. Now, knowing that I'm from Minnesota, and by the looks of me, you could probably guess I'm some sort of Scandinavian, and that's true. I am Scandinavian. But there's something unique about me that many people would not guess unless they already knew. It's something that people are usually shocked by, and that is I am 50% Native American. Yep, some of the looks I've seen before. My dad, Noel Thompson Sr., he was 100% Native American, and my mother is mostly Scandinavian. And yes, my last name is Thompson. And there's actually a cool story about that. About 100 years ago, German Lutheran missionaries changed my family's name from Bakwe to Thompson. Who would have thought? German Lutheran missionaries in Minnesota. So yes, I am 50% Native American, and to prove it, I actually have my tribal ID. There it is. Look at that hair. Glory days. Glory days. See, I'm a proud member of the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe. Ojibwe is the tribe that I'm a part of, and Leech Lake is the reservation that I'm a member of. And it's been a reservation since 1934 under the federal government, the 1934 Indian Reorganizational Act. My family has been traced to this part of Minnesota since the 1700s. So I'm a proud member of the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe. My grandmother, my dad's mother, was the storyteller of the family. And it was her responsibility to teach the morals and values and traditions of the Ojibwe people to the younger generations. And so as I grew up, I heard many, many stories. And this is something that I treasure to this day and plan on telling my kids as they get older. You know, all of our stories have very similar themes that I deeply value. And they go along with our theme today, which is caring for creation. And every story that she ever told had two lessons, which were honor who created you and honor the created. You see, the Ojibwe tribe honored creation in everything that they did. So one story she actually told me was the creation story of the Ojibwe creation story. And this is a story that I've probably heard more than others. So if you don't mind, I'd like to share with you the story that she learned. Kitche Manitou, the Great Spirit, beheld a vision. In this dream, he saw a vast sky filled with stars, sun, moon, and earth. He saw an earth made of mountains and valleys, islands and lakes, plains and forests. He saw trees and flowers, grasses and vegetables. He saw walking, flying, swimming, and crawling beings. Kitche Manitou was to bring into being in existence what he had seen, heard, and felt. Out of nothing, he decided to make rock, water, fire, and wind. And into each one, he breathed the breath of life. To the sun, Kitche Manitou gave the powers of light and heat. To the earth, he gave growth and healing. To waters, purity and renewal. To the wind, music and the breath of life itself. On earth, Kitche Manitou formed mountains, valleys, plains, islands, and lakes, bays, and rivers. Everything was in its place, and everything was beautiful. He felt it all as he made it. he left a part of himself into everything that he made. Then Kitche Manitou made the plant beings, flowers, grasses, trees, and vegetables. To each he gave a spirit of life, growth, healing, and beauty. After plants, Kitche Manitou created animal beings, conferring on special powers and natures. Some had 2 legs, some had 4, some had wings, and some swam. Last of all, he made man. Though last in the order of creation, least in order of dependence, man had the greatest gift, the power to dream and to connect with all things he made before man. Now, isn't this somewhat familiar? You know, as a Christian who loves God and follows God, I find it amazing that the story my grandmother told, a story hundreds and hundreds of years old, is so similar to the story of creation that's recorded in the first chapter of Genesis. As a child, I could hear both stories as a reflection that there is a God who was and is and present in the creation of everything. You know, growing up hearing the story from my grandma only enhanced my passion for God when I heard the biblical story. Now, Kitche Manitou would remind man through animals that all things were connected. Man, we're stubborn. We had to learn. So Kitche Manitou sent animals to the Ojibwe to help establish order, leadership, humility, unity, and harmony. Since all the animals and plants followed these things, man needed help from creation. So therefore, a relationship between man and creation was critical. It had to be for all things to survive. So my grandma always finished this story with this saying, so much easier it is to destroy than it is to rebuild. Honor who created you, honor the Creator. The Ojibwe tribe and Native Americans to this day blended these 2 understandings into everything that they did, their way of life. And we still are people connected to creation. Now, I think creation is something that resonates with everyone here. You know, the world is full of beauty, wonder, mystery, and creation captivates us like nothing else. You know, you often ask people, what was the most incredible or beautiful thing they have ever witnessed? And a lot of people would say, the birth of their children. Birth. Creation. Others would say the Grand Canyon, the stars at night, the northern lights, a flower, the giant trees, or even the smell of orange blossoms. You know, it's funny, Forbes just came out with a list of 21 things you all need to see in your lifetime. 21. 15 of those things were natural creations. 15. 2 of them are here in the United States of America. Yellowstone National Park and the giant sequoias. I mean, aren't we lucky to have these wonderful things just so close to us? You know, it's funny, I have yet to meet a person who I've brought to the ocean and to the trees. I've yet see a person stand in front of these things and say, oh, this is boring. What is this? It's overrated. I've yet to meet a person have that experience or reaction. For the past few summers, you know, a tradition I started amongst some of the young adults here at Christ Lutheran Church is that we do a little hike up in Sequoia National Park, about a mile hike, and we come across this beautiful swimming hole. The view of the mountains, the fresh air and the fresh water. You know, it does something to my soul. The fresh water actually reminds me of swimming in lakes back in Minnesota. It reminds me of my childhood, something that I cherish. And the fresh air actually reminds me of a time briefly I lived in San Francisco, where I spent a couple of years being a missionary. And then the mountains all around me remind me of where I am today, where I am now. And it's amazing that a place in creation reminds me of my past, reminds me of my present, and gives me hope for the future. And when I'm up there, everything becomes full circle to me, and I leave refreshed, and I just leave renewed. In fact, you know, according to data published in the journal Health Place, it says, those who live by the coast report better physical and mental health than those who don't. I say we move Christ Lutheran Church to Cayucos. We'll call it CLCC. Just a thought. But that, you know, the data published is actually very fascinating. They came to the conclusion conclusion that the ocean does something to us. The ocean forces us to do something that we rarely never do, and that is mindfulness, being mindful. Studies have shown that when we are in the presence of the ocean, standing there, the ocean tends to force us to be quiet and forces us to be still. And now in that stillness, our body relaxes and we take more meaningful breaths, right? And when we do that, our body is able to relax and we're able to focus. And then we tend to think about issues with more clarity because of that. And the odds of us being distracted drops dramatically. The ocean does something. I think it's no coincidence that it's easier to connect to God when we disconnect from everything else. Creation does that. Caring for creation. The text today we focus on is out of Genesis. And I read this passage and I realize that it's very conflicting. We've got some problems because it comes down to one word. And when one word is taken out of context, a lot of things can go different ways. And that one word is dominion. Then God said, let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over creation. And God said, have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the air and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. Dominion. There's no word for dominion in the Ojibwe language, and it's kind of always confused me. See, the word dominion bothers me because I think a lot of people think dominion, they think of domination, which I can understand. In Latin, dominion means dominus, master. Dominus is the word the early Greeks would call their master in ancient Greek times. Slaves would call their master dominus in ancient Greek times. The early Greeks literally thought that they could force creation into submission, make it their slave. But we have to remember one important thing. This is not how Jesus or the Jews heard this word. In Hebrew, the words have dominion is the verb rada. Rada literally means to rule by going down and walking among the subjects as an equal. The suggestion is that man is to rule over all the animals as subjects, not as a dictator, but as a benevolent leader. Man is also to walk among and have a relationship with his subjects so that they can provide for man and that man can learn from them. Now, I don't know about you, this changes things for me big time. Being a dictator over something means you want complete control. You don't want a relationship with the people you're dictating. There's no room for that. There's no room for an involving relationship. There's no grace or mercy or love between a dictator and the people he's dictating. So God doesn't want us to be dictators over creation. He wants us to have a relationship with creation. He wants us connected with it because after all, aren't we all God's creation? The perfect example of this is Jesus, right? Sunday school answer, Jesus. Well, Philippians 2 says it perfectly. Philippians 2 says, let the same mind be in you that was in Christ Jesus, who, though he was in the form of God, did not regard equality with God as something to be exploited, but emptied himself, taking the form of a slave, being born in human likeness, and being found in human form. He humbled himself and became obedient to the point of death, even death on the cross. Jesus came to earth to have a relationship with us, to walk among us. Jesus certainly didn't come down as a dictator. I know he didn't walk around like one. He didn't order people to do things for selfish reasons. He didn't do things to get ahead. He connected with us, and ultimately, he served us. Genesis tells us that God made all of these things, that God made us and other creations in his goodness, and now it is our responsibility for us to take care of it. When we care about something, we have a responsibility for it, a great responsibility that we all carry. Our bishop, Elizabeth Eaton, in her Earth Day letter to the church, just published a few days ago, addressed this in a way that I just love. She said, we share a deep love for all of God's creation and a profound responsibility for it. Made in the image of God, we are called to continue what God is already doing for the earth, enabling it to flourish. God assigns humans to care for the earth as God does in loving servanthood. Now, we haven't done the best job of this. I have to admit, us as humans, we haven't done the best job. Did you know that there's a new island in the Pacific called Plastic Island? Somehow, a giant trash mass about twice the size of Texas has formed in the Pacific Ocean. And there are about 1.8 trillion pieces of plastic just in the Pacific Ocean. Just last year, 9 billion tons of litter was dumped into the world's oceans. And we've even somehow let creation destroy creation. There's a tiny little mussel in Minnesota called the zebra mussel. And due to lack of inspections on Great Lake ships from Western Russia, the zebra mussel is now taking over lakes in Minnesota. And when these zebra mussels somehow get into a lake, they take over everything. All the plant life and aquatic life is gone. So these lakes filled with many, many species of fish, lakes that people love to swim in and fish in, there's nothing in them except the zebra mussel. Just a small, tiny little thing. And just in the news recently, I don't know if you've heard, the last male northern rhino called Sudan just passed away. And now there's only 2 females left. And they actually have armed volunteers guarding them to protect them from poaching. And there's some challenges here too, right, in Tulare County. About 10 years ago, I got great news. The doctor said, no, your adolescent asthma is gone. And then I decided to move to Visalia, and it's back. I get asthma attacks like on cue twice a year. But it's not all bad, really. Us as humans, really, we have done some amazing things to make this world a better place. Once to the point of extinction, there are many animals that are making a comeback thanks to human efforts. The gray wolf, the American bison, the gray whale, the Steller sea lion, and the peregrine falcon. Americans are recycling more now than they've ever been. Cities are taking better initiatives to handle their garbage and water. 30 years ago in Visalia, we had 1 trash can. Now we have 3. I was 2 30 years ago, so Brian told me that fun fact. And many organizations and companies are moving away from fossil fuel dependencies. And I don't know if you've looked yet on our roof, but Christ Lutheran Church, just about a month ago, just installed solar panels. Every day we are creating, you and I, by our actions or by our words, we are constantly creating something. Now, whether it's positive or negative, that's up to us. But every day we have the power to create something. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from reading the Genesis verse. Verse 28. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply. Be fruitful. Our actions and words, they create something. They create fruit. And knowing that we are all connected in some sort of way, that we are connected to this beautiful world, I have to ask, what are we creating? My prayer every day is that as I follow God, and that God fills my cup, I can fill the cup of others. Be fruitful and multiply. Honor the Creator, honor the Creator. I'm slowly teaching my kids the way in life of my Native American history. And let me tell you, it's been a challenge. My son Mark sees a black widow spider. He wants to touch it. He wants to hold it. He wants to pet it. He wants to keep it. And he wants to name it. Challenge. When we go to the coast and we go to the water, my daughter decides to have a dance show. Oh, that's cute, great. But it lasts 2 hours, so it's like, what are we going to do? These waves don't stop. And if you ever kill a snail in my son's presence, expect a meltdown that'll last about 90 minutes. And then expect a celebration of life to be planned and attended about 30 minutes after that. And honestly, there isn't a flower in this world where my son doesn't appreciate or smell. Really, in fact, a simple trip to Orchid Supply can quickly turn into an hour of smelling flowers and smelling plants. he has smelled so many flowers. Rachel and I started calling him Ferdinand. After Ferdinand Bull. Honor the Creator. Honor the Creator. What are we creating? And how are we caring for the Creator? May God bless you as you are fruitful, creating words and actions that honor the Creator and honor the created. And may God multiply people like you who tell the story of creation and care for creation every day. Amen. May the peace of the Lord be with you always. I'd like you to share that peace with the Lord.